Hi there, welcome back to my channel. So glad to see you. My name's Sonja and I write, and this is my co-host Mish. Today I am hosting the first official episode of my newest series called Surviving English Lit. As a university student studying English is more than confusing. There are so many tiny aspects of the study that you need to understand in order to simply pass. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I took what I learned in English and then shared it online so that other people could learn English too? Whoa. If you don't like English, you're in the right place. Because here, on this channel, in this series, I will be using what I've learned from the University of Toronto as a second year studying English literature and creative writing to help you love English. That's probably never going to happen, but hey, we can try. During this series, I will be teaching you the itty-bitty bits of confusing details that your English teachers or professors might throw in your face and pretend that they never did. But I'm here to review all of that with you and ensure that you understand what the frig is going on in English. Right, Mish? He agrees. So, now that you have a vague idea as to what's going on here, we can jump straight into today's lesson. Because today we are dealing with Synchrony, Diachrony, and Anachrony, all of which are treatments of study. We're going to be learning about how you can use time to study specific modern or historic texts. Big words with definitions that don't require the word to be that big. But hey, we're going to be learning about them today anyways. So let's jump straight into the lesson. Synchrony, Diachrony, and Anachrony. What are these big words, and how do we use them? Well, let's start with the deconstruction of the definitions. Synchrony and diachrony alike fall under the umbrella definition that is, the study of language at a particular point in time. To simplify this definition, you could say that these two terms helped readers to look at a piece of writing in correlation to a specific time period. Consider this example. Take the popular play, Romeo and Juliet. Look at the play with the views of a person from the late 16th century, the time period that the play was written. Take a moment to think about how an individual from the late 16th century would view this play. Now, consider the same play, but look at it through the lens, or view, of a modern reader, someone from the 21st century. The views of someone from the 16th century might have had on Romeo and Juliet are most likely different from the views of a modern reader. This is synchrony and diachrony. Synchrony, pronounced synchrony, means the same time. A synchronic analysis is a way of looking at a text or a piece of writing in the same moment of time in which it was produced, as well as what else was happening in the world during this period of writing. A synchronic analysis asks readers to consider a text, such as Romeo and Juliet, during the time when it was written. In what ways can you look at the text from the perspective of the 16th century? What was going on in the world during this time period? How did the world in this moment impact the outcome of the story that Shakespeare produced? What morals, societal norms, and/or practices within this story are also reflected outside of the text during this time period? These are all important questions to consider during a synchronic analysis. When thinking about synchrony, consider what it means to be in the moment. What is happening at that time? Here is an example of a synchronic analysis we can conduct on a historic piece of literature. Sir Orfeo is a story written in the early 14th century. This story follows a king who ventures to save his queen, who was stolen by the fairy king. During this time period, the romantic genre commonly consisted of longer pieces of literature that dealt greatly with a heroic protagonist. From this understanding of the romantic genre during the early 14th century, After considering both the length of the text as well as the heroic actions that Sir Orfeo takes to steal back his queen, we can analyze that the Sir Orfeo story is a romantic text. Have any questions on Synchrony? Feel free to leave any further questions or comments you have on Synchrony in the comment section below. Now, let's look at Synchrony's opposite. Diachrony, pronounced diachrony, on the other hand, means through time. A diachronic analysis of a text is analyzing how a piece of writing changes as time goes on, or as it moves through time. By conducting a diachronic analysis, we as readers are able to consider how different people have reacted to the text over a longer period of time. For instance, consider the feelings a person might have had for Juliet from Romeo and Juliet in the 18th century. Does this differ from the views of a person from the 16th century when the play was first written? Now consider the same question, but in relation to a person from the 20th century. How do their hypothetical views compare to those from the 18th and 16th century? And if we are pushing a diachronic analysis even further, we could consider the following example. During the 16th century, when Romeo and Juliet was written, it was common for parents to arrange their children in a marriage when they came of age. Thus, when Romeo and Juliet decided to marry on their own terms, readers from the 16th century may have been shocked by the idea of this rebellion and how it worked against the social norms of their time. However, from the perspective of the 21st century, the idea of arranged marriage in North America has become somewhat of an old tradition, no longer largely practiced during this time period. So when seeing Romeo and Juliet choose themselves over the wishes of their parents, modern-day readers might become excited by this rebellion, as an arrangement of marriage is commonly looked down upon in today's modern world. Do you see how a diachronic analysis follows a text through time? If not, be sure to leave a question in the comment section below. Finally, we move on to anachrony, and I can already hear your questions. Why wasn't anachrony included in the earlier definitions, alongside synchrony and diachrony? Well, anachrony, pronounced anachrony, unlike the other forms of study, does not deal with time. Anachrony simply means out of time. This method of study is the least likely to be used by readers, as it deals with the unexplainable. It is when something doesn't make sense for its time period. An example of anachrony is during that one episode of Game of Thrones when the audience caught a glimpse of a Starbucks cup in one of the dialogue scenes. For a show being set in a historic, fantastical era, it isn't very likely that a Starbucks would be opening anytime soon. Thus, this doesn't make any sense. And there you have it. Synchrony, diachrony, and anachrony, all summed up in one quick video. If you're wanting more of these surviving English Lit videos, make sure to like and leave a comment below on something you'd like to see me teach in the near future. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. It means a lot. I look forward to seeing you soon, Fiction Fiends. Bye bye!